Good morning, friends, and welcome back to my channel, She Hosts Light. And today I am preparing for our church dinner. And every week we have a dinner at my church before we do our Bible study. And it's just always kind of a nice time for us to fellowship beforehand. So I wanted to share with y'all a recipe that I'm taking tonight. And it is creamy burrito casserole. And this is my sister's recipe, but it makes for a wonderful church potluck casserole. And so I saved the part of having to do all this stuff right in front of you, but you're going to need 1 pound of ground beef and a half of an onion. And you're going to need some tortilla shells, soft ones, half a cup of sour cream. And you can use pinto beans, chili beans. I like to use the ranch style beans and I drain them. You're going to use 1 can of cream of mushroom soup and 1 package of taco seasoning. And the recipe does not call, but we kind of like, if you like a little spicy, a can of Rotel. So I've had this both with the Rotel and without the Rotel, but we like a little kick, a little spice. So I like to add a can of the Rotel. Also, we're going to be using some cheddar cheese or the Fiesta cheese, whichever one that you prefer to use. Both are really good. So you can really make this recipe your own. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to brown your ground beef, and you're going to brown the ground beef with your onions. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to grab a pair of scissors. As we know, when we're doing some of these videos, there is no editing. So you're just going to have to go with the flow. And if you mess up, you just laugh it off and you just keep going like life. And so you're going to brown your ground beef and your half an onion. And I have already done that for you so that you don't have to watch me stand over the stove and do that. After you drain the ground beef and onions, then you are going to add the seasoning, the taco seasoning, to the ground beef. And you're also going to add the can of ranch style beans. Now remember, I drain these, and I drain them before I start a video, and so you would not have to watch me do that either. So I've got the 1 can of beans that have been drained, and you're just going to mix that all together. This is one of the layers, and this is going to be a layered casserole. And if you want it even a little bit more spicy, you can add a package of the hot taco seasoning mix. I don't like it that spicy, but enough that I'm going to add Can Rotel. You could also add a package of the spicy taco seasoning mix as well as the mild Rotel. And that'll give it about the same spiciness. You could also add some jalapenos. This recipe is really reversible, and when I'm done with this, I will be sure and put the recipe in the description below. So after you get that all mixed up good, y'all, this smells really good just with the beans. And when I use ranch style beans, I feel like that also gives it a little bit more flavoring than the pinto beans. I've made this so many times that there's all different methods that you can do, and you can just mix it up. If you do make this, be sure and post in the comments that you've made it and if you liked it. Again, this is really good for a church potluck casserole. And then you're going to take another bowl, and to this bowl we're going to add the 4 ounces of sour cream, or half a cup. And this is the part that's why they call it creamy enchilada. And then you got the 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. And then at this point, this would be just what you're mixing up right there. It would be the cream of mushroom and the sour cream. At this point, I like to add my Rotel. Now you can add the juice from the Rotel, or you can drain it. I'm not going to drain it really good, but I am going to drain it just a little. And then I'm going to mix that part up. So again, this is the 1/2 cup of sour cream, 1 can of cream of mushroom soup, and Rotel. I got the original Rotel, not the mild. And then that is good. This is just all mixed up. And then you are going to take your flour tortillas. I just use the medium size, and I take 6 of these. I've already pre-cut 4 of them up. I'll cut 4 of them up for us. And I thought I'd do one for you. So just put them out on the cutting board. I like to use the pizza cutter. And you can either tear these by hand. They do not have to be cut into strips like I'm doing, but it just kind of makes it easier. And it goes really fast if you're just take a good old pizza cutter and cut them into strips, into little squares. And then those are done. And these will be layered into one of the layers also. So we've got our hamburger and bean mixture, we've got the sour cream mixture, and we've got the flour tortillas. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start layering this into the casserole dish. And so at the very bottom, now I spray mine with pan, and we are going to put 1/2 of the sour cream mixture on the bottom. And so just take your mixture and put 1/2 of it out on the bottom of the pan, your casserole dish. I feel like you should use a little bit of a deeper pan. Instead of just a regular 9x13, you could use that, but I like to use a little bit deeper pan. And after I've got that, you've got your mixture of sour cream. Hold on just a second. I just don't want to lead y'all wrong. Then we're going to put a layer of the flour tortillas on here. So our first layer is the sour cream mixture. The second layer is the flour tortillas. And then after that, we're going to put 1/3 of the meat mixture on there. And so we've got our meat mixture here again. So we've got the sour cream mixture, then we've got the tortillas. Now we're going to put 1/3 of the meat mixture on here. Your next layer, you're going to add your Fiesta cheese mix or your cheddar cheese mixture. I'm just using the plain Jane finely shredded cheddar cheese because that's what I have on hand. And then, of course, we're going to make the second layer, and we're going to do the exact same thing as we did before. We're going to start with the sour cream mixture. And it's easier, of course, you've got this all spread it out like this, so it's easier if you just put some dollops out, and it will make it easier to spread the next layer. It's not always easy to spread a layer whenever you've got something like cheese or ground up beef that you're trying to add to it. I think you guys are gonna love this. This smells so good, so Mexican-y right now. This is really a great casserole to serve with, just for a family night. Especially good if you are having company over, because it makes so much. And I'm just going to spread that next layer on there. And then again, we're going to use the tortilla shells for the next layer. And layer them up. You know, it's funny how whenever you're cooking and doing these things and you've made it so many times, and yet then you're on video and you get, oh my gosh, what if I say something wrong, or what if I tell them the wrong steps? And I think we've probably all been in the kitchen and made a recipe, and even though we've made it before, we've kind of messed up on the routine or the method of doing something, and it's like, oh my gosh, or else we have mixed up like a batch of brownies and forgot to add something. So I'm trying to be very cautious that I do this, although like again I said, I will have the recipe down below for you. So we are done with our second layer with the tortillas, all layered on top of the sour cream, and we're going to again add that meat mixture, the meat and bean mixture. Now you can stretch this out if you want, if you were having a smaller deep dish pan and make 3 layers, but I like to just make the 2 layers. I mean, it makes a good huge amount in there, and that completes that. And we're going to top it again with cheese. We are going to make it at 350 for 20 to 30 minutes, and I have found best to let it cook at least 30 minutes. I feel like there's times that if I cook it for any shorter than that, then right there in the center of the casserole, it gets really hot on the edges, but not so much on the in the center of the casserole. So make sure that you cook it for at least 30 minutes. That would be my recommendation. This is beautiful, and it's ready to go in the oven, but this is still morning here, and I don't have church till this evening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this up, and I am going to stick it in my fridge. So I'm doing this to show you that you can do this and make this ahead. You can also, like if you have company coming over in the evening time, you can mix it up the night before you go to bed, or you can mix it up that morning, which is what I'm doing. This is morning, so I've got this all mixed up. An hour before I'm ready to bake it, I will set it out of the fridge and just set it on the counter and let it, you know, get to a little bit more room temp. And then make sure your oven is preheated to 350, and then put it in the oven. You don't need to set it on a cookie sheet or anything, and just like I said, you're going to bake it uncovered. This is delicious. I think you're going to absolutely love it. You're welcome to serve this with a salad. You can serve it with tortilla chips and salsa. You can add some condiments out on the table of sour cream and hot sauce, salsa, and for your guests if they want to have any. But we normally, somebody brings chips and dip to our fellowship, so I'm just going to bring this as the casserole. And whenever I get done, I will clip on a picture of it completely cooked at the very end of this video so that you will see the finished product. And I can already tell you it's a crowd pleaser, and I think you're gonna love it. Thank you for letting me share my church potluck recipe with you. And again, the recipe will be in the description. If you like things like this, I invite you to subscribe to my channel, She Hosts Light, where we don't always just do devotions and stuff. We talk about living a life of faith and walking with the Lord, and that includes homemaking, recipes, and health. So if you enjoy that, I'd love to have you. You have a blessed and wonderful weekend.